Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to Gibraltar. We are here for the Rumble on the Rock. Finally, after weeks and months of waiting, fight week is upon us. Delighted to say that former world champion Barry Jones is part of our team this week. Barry, we literally landed about an hour ago, I think, and it's all hands to the pumps, and what a setup here, and the Rock's just over your shoulder. I think we'll speak for everyone when I say we're all looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, it's just amazing, isn't it? It's better than what I thought. It was literally when you get off the plane, you're like, let's get my shorts on. You forget you're actually working, don't you? It's going to make a bit of a fantastic backdrop, especially for Saturday night.
Can you just tell us about the context of the flight? I mean, the whole undercard was full, wasn't it, on the flight with us? You know, we had Eddie Hearn giving us a tannoy announcement. I'm sure people have seen that on social media about Matchroom Airlines. I'm not too sure about that myself, but all the fighters together, and you know, everyone's rocked into town for the Rumble on the Rock.
Yeah, well, I just think it's so unique that people want to make sure that see every part of it and enjoy it. So you know, if you can get a seat, looking to get a seat over here, then I don't blame you for jumping on. That's for sure. And obviously the significance of the main event, it's huge. And for Dillian Whyte more than Povetkin, to be honest, it's a real, not a career ender, but it's hard to see where he goes in the world level, I guess, in the highest echelons if he gets beat again.
Yeah, set the main event up for us. I mean, everybody will know the story, but Dillian Whyte was well on top in the fight, having had Povetkin down twice, and then one of the knockouts of last year, uncorked the perfect shot, and it brings us to here. How much is riding on it? What does Dillian Whyte have to do differently this time? What dangers does Povetkin bring to the table?
Well, I think what rides on it is Dillian Whyte. For Dillian Whyte, this is an immediate future in the heavyweight division, of course, for world honours. I think for Povetkin, it gives him at least a life and maybe another shot to be a world champion again. So, you know, he has nothing to lose in many ways because he's at the tail end of his career anyway. But for Dillian Whyte, he's still, he's at the peak of his career right now, so he needs to win. And you're right, he was doing so well. He was doing so well in the last show. He was boxing well, but I think he was. I kept saying the same thing, but it's true. I just think he was comfortable because he was doing well with Povetkin in close. The stuff that before the fight we warned about, Povetkin getting close is a danger. But he was doing well because he was blocking and countering, and obviously he knocked Povetkin down twice with the blocking and countering technique, but still let him close. And I think, you know, obviously you can't blame him because it looked like that he was all but spent, Povetkin. But he's an old dog, and he knows all those old tricks, and bending over that front foot, you know, like getting really low, get a different angle of attack. You know, that thing he does so well, that's muscle memory, that is. That wasn't just a lucky shot, that's just muscle memory, and he's seen the gap. And rather than throw the left hook, it was the uppercut through the gap, where Dillian just threw a half a right hand, he saw it, and no one was getting it from that shot. It was a beautifully delivered shot from a big puncher.
We'd like you to send in as many questions and comments as you can, and I'll get through as many as I can read out. Tyler is the first one that I've seen. Povetkin knocks Whyte out again. His feet aren't fast enough to keep away from Povetkin. He's going to end up exchanging with him and getting knocked out again. In terms of like the quickness of the feet, would you? I don't know. That's made me think. You know, who has got the quicker feet? You would think Dillian Whyte is the younger man.
He has the quicker feet, but he doesn't have quick feet. I understand what he's saying, and he's correct. But you don't necessarily need quick feet. What you need is a solid, hard left hand. So you need it every time Povetkin moves. You got to not just hit him with the jab. You got to really step into it and stop him in his tracks. Or if you throw it, you got to take a little step with your back foot just to make sure you're out of distance from anything that counters back. But ultimately, he doesn't need the fast feet. You can't change Dillian Whyte. He is what he is. But and I think the fact that he got Harold Knight in his corner, you know, obviously Lennox Lewis had one of the best jabs in heavyweight boxing, so that'll be instrumental in keeping Povetkin at bay and keeping him on the end of those long shots, and that'll hopefully then, for Dillian Whyte's camp, get him the win.
Lots of comments about the location. Luke McConney, location looks quality. Actually, it's a green screen. We're back in Isleworth. We fooled you all. No, we're very, very happy to be here, obviously. Lots of people saying, what time's the workout starting? Well, because everybody landed not so long ago, they are on their way. That's all I can say. We're going to do a little bit of filling with Barry, and there's some assorted guests from the various teams we're going to bring onto the stream, but not too much longer. I would say the first fighter within 10 minutes, probably 5 to 10 minutes. Ashley Jones, looking forward to Kane Baker getting another win. Yeah, he was on the flight, looking full of beans, and we won't see him tonight, I don't think, but we will see him at the press conference tomorrow. What's your pick of the undercard, Barry? That's sometimes an unfair question, but in terms of the fights you're most looking forward to?
I think it's quite obvious that I think the Metcalf Cheeseman fight has just got war written all over it. as much as Cheeseman tries to box, and he can box, and as much as Metcalf in most of his career has boxed, actually, you tend to think, when you think Metcalf, you think Shane Neary automatically. So you think, oh, you know, he's going to go right at him, you know, and just work him inside and be tough. But he can actually box, and he actually boxes most of the time. But he also can have a tear up if he needs it. So I think that's where that fight will take a few rounds, and then I think from around 4 on, it will just be a literally toe-to-toe war.
Who starts as the favourite in that one, in your eyes? I haven't actually looked at the odds for that one, but it's intriguing. And just to touch on Shane Neary, I saw him checking in. He has not aged, very much like yourself, has not aged at all. He looks exactly as he did during his last furore in his career.
Whoever you fancy to win, even though he has defeats, you have to put Cheeseman, because the people who he's boxed, his last 5 fights have been, literally, I couldn't name off now, but I saw Eggington, Conway, Fitzgerald, Garcia. He had a couple of losses and a draw in there, but they're quality fights where he's been. That could easily be 1 loss, and the rest could be wins. So they were the draw and the loss that he had with Fitzgerald, they were disputable. So I think he's shown that he's at that level, and for Metcalf, it's a little bit of a step up. He looked great against Wellborn, though, Metcalf. That's the thing. He looked fantastic against Jason Wellborn. So I think if he can take that form into this fight, he's got a really good chance. But Cheeseman will draw him in.
Just a quick word before we bring in our first guest. Just a word on Fabio Wardley, Eric Molina. That looks like a sort of tell us where you're at fight. If Fabio Wardley is as good as everybody says he is, he should deal with Eric Molina. But Eric Molina, I've seen those quotes this week and I love them. You can't tell me that, watching those clips, that Fabio Wardley does everything right. You can't tell me that he's been in big fights with big fight experience. Yes, Molina got knocked out by Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, but he's been in at a proven level that Wardley hasn't. That isn't actually Fabio Wardley's fault, though. Everybody that they put in front of him so far, he's been too good for.
Well, when you first think of that fight, you think it's perfect for Wardley because he's boxing Molina, who gets beat. But he's boxed good people, so it's a really good name to have in his record. But it's not. If you look back and watch him, it's actually a really hard fight and a real big step, I think. And Molina fires back. When he's under pressure, he fires back. And that's something that Wardley might not be quite used to yet. Wardley got great rhythm and great composure to himself, so if he can keep that under pressure, then listen, for where he's come from with that lack of amateur experience, it'll be a bit of a feat. This is a test for him. Make no doubt about that. This is a real test for Fabio Wardley.
I always feel bad when I bring it up, but Fabio Wardley comes from that white-collar background with very limited amateur experience, so I do think we judge him slightly differently because of that. He's a young heavyweight making his way in the game. I don't know if I always bring that up and then I feel bad for bringing it up, like we're judging white-collar fighters.
Well, it's relevant. You should. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think, and it's just the lack of experience he's had. And I say that with anyone. When you have a lack of experience, or you turn professional late, or you get involved in boxing at a later age and not a child, then it's having punches thrown at you is the issue, not getting hit. And he's not. And Molina will do that. He will throw a lot of punches at him. He'll fire back under pressure. So it'll be a test for Wardley.
Right, I'm just going to ask you to stand this side of the camera now, as promised. Eric Molina, our first fighter on today's media workouts, is going to get in and do a little workout for us. I mean, what a journey for him. America, isolated in the bubble, then he has to get straight out and do this.
But if you look at him now, like your memory of him is him not being in great shape, but he's in fantastic shape, and so. I tell you, it's a real test. He looks good. He's been. The problem is he's boxed at the highest level, and he's fallen short because they are world class level fighters with obviously Wilder, Joshua, and the like. So he's obviously going to struggle with them. But in Wardley now he's getting a guy who's still relatively green, so he might have the intelligence and also the experience to cause Wardley plenty of problems.
Wardley wouldn't have taken that too much from that Latte fight, would he? That's the sore point for him. What he probably needs at this stage in his career is someone that's going to push him, someone that's going to give him rounds, but somebody that ultimately he should be victorious against. He didn't get that against Latte last time out.
No, he didn't. But listen, you can't.
Don't
criticise him for that, surely. The thing is, he's looking for tests. That was a little bit of a test for him, and he's coming through it. That's a sign of a class fighter, of course. Listen, what you want to do is get too excited and say he's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah, because we get carried away, don't we? That's the thing. Young heavyweight, all of a sudden, we're doing it with Johnny Fisher, we're doing it with everybody.
Yeah, and it's a big there's a big pitfall if it don't work out for you. We've seen time and time again. But it's hard not to get excited because you got a lovely, nice start. style. He looks good. I think he coped well under pressure. And I think this again is a step up for him. But if he can produce a win tonight, then he's right up there with those really good names domestically in the UK.
Just have a look at some of these. Broken Nose Boxing, Sky Sports love mentioning Wardley's white collar background every single fight. I know, I have apologised for it. I can't help myself. Just some more comments on the main event. Whyte will damage Povetkin to the body, finishing mid to late with a few knockdowns. What's your thoughts? Well, the body snatcher isn't. It's a very apt nickname. He is a great body puncher, Dillian Whyte. So is Povetkin, though.
I was going to say, I can't remember the last time. It's almost got to go back to the 90s, seeing how many punches thrown, body punches thrown in a heavyweight contest. They were both tremendous. It's easier for Povetkin because he stays a little bit lower and he's a little bit shorter. Whyte's got those nice long arms, so he likes to whip him up through, of course. You have to fancy Whyte, because if he would have kept his composure and kept his distance, then he probably would have got Povetkin out of there. But he knows the dangers. That's the thing. He knows the dangers, and that can work two ways. That can make you a little bit tentative to go and engage, or you just had, what you had to do was you were doing right. Just don't get sloppy.
Liam Molina actually looks in good shape. How tall is the man? Well, it depends if he's standing next to Barry and I, or if he's standing next to Eddie Hearn. We've got him at 6'4", which I think is a fair assessment.
Yeah,
he looks about 6'4",
yeah, I think
but he does look trim, like you say.
He does it, but he might have always been just your first memory of it. The first thing when you think about him coming to your mind is that he wasn't in the greatest of shapes, not massively out of shape, but not in the greatest of shapes, and getting beat up quite a lot. But if people go back and watch him before Saturday night now, and you'll see that at the highest level, even he fires back then. So you think that now, with his experience, and he'll think this is a step down for him in many ways. So he might go and take that centre of the ring, and he might try and bully Wardley, and then Wardley will have to adapt to that. But I think with the fluency of Wardley's movements, the way he boxes, I think he'll cope with that quite well.
Just everybody that's joining us live on our stream, thank you very much. We are live here in Gibraltar. Eric Molina is just having a little shakeout in the ring. Obviously, he takes on Fabio Wardley on Saturday night. What do we know about Molina? Well, he's 38 from Weslaco, Texas. 33 fights, 27 wins. 19 of those wins have come inside the distance. He's a former world title challenger. I mean, that's probably where we know him best for. He's been in world title fights on 2 separate occasions. Did go over to Poland and score a real upset win over there against, albeit an ageing Thomas Adamek, but a fight in which he was behind in, and again found the answers that he needed to.
And don't forget, I think he went something like 9 rounds with Wilder. So
Yeah.
No, I don't care how good or bad you had. No, when a guy with that sort of power to do that means you either got a great chin or really good survival skills. Now that's going to be an issue for Wardley, because he's used to hitting people and him either panicking or falling over. So I tell you, I think it looks. Originally, I thought it's just a good name to put on his record, to bolster his profile, if you will. But I think it's a real hard test for him.
Very interesting in it in terms of comparing the rounds. Just 25 professional rounds Fabio Wardley's done. You compare that to Molina, 145 rounds against, certainly in this later part of his career, a very high quality of opponent.
And that's where Molina's got to go and take that centre of the ring, be the boss, use that experience, try and bully Wardley round.
Let me pick up on that. So if you're Molina and you know a basic bit about Wardley, what are you thinking? Stick it on him early and see how he copes, or are you thinking let's get this into a boxing match?
Someone like Wardley, who's nice and smooth with him, you've got to take that away. So what you do with that is when he throws a punch, you catch it and hit him. Whether it's with the same hand or the other hand, you got to make him, because once Wardley gets his rhythm, especially with that nice jab of his, then he's hard to get out of it. He has that fluency in his movement, so you got to try and take away all the things that he's good at. The movement, so you take the centre of the ring, use that front foot to block the exits off, put him under pressure, and block and counter every time. And I think that, and then all of a sudden he's tentative to throw, he tenses up, and then you can really put the pressure on him. I think that would be what I would do if I was Molina.
And if I flip that on its head, if you're Wardley, continue doing what you're doing.
Don't let Molina do that. I think what it is, again with Wardley, because he got a nice long good right hand, so it's maintaining that distance when you throw that right hand. So you've got to use that jab. That jab's got to be good for him. Now it's a smooth whipping jab. Sometimes comes back down to the waist too much if you want to be critical. But when he does keep those hands up nice and high and he works behind that jab, if you can push Molina back with that jab and throw that long right hand, then he got him where he wants him. But it's about being smart. You've got a guy there who fires back, so he's using the punches, keeping on the balls of your feet. So you set your feet to throw the shot, get back on the balls of your feet, so you get a little half a step out or lean back, and then come back with another right hand, because you'll throw a shot and Molina will fire back out when after that. You've seen it. He's done it with Joshua. He's done it with obviously even with Deontay Wilder. He tried it. So I think that's where it would be the smart move for me. And also angles. When you got to go on the rope, sometimes you don't want to stay in front of him. You got to work around the body, and that would be something that'll work better for Wardley, of course.
Drummer boy right here, two-time world title challenger, and he's in tough on Saturday night against the undefeated fighter from Ipswich, Fabio Wardley. Ladies and gentlemen, the drummer boy, Eric Molina.
I think we can have a quick word with Eric. Not quite yet. Eric just getting his photo done there with MC David Diamante. Only when he's ready, obviously. I don't want to rush him. I know you guys have been rushed around. I think we're going to see a lot of this, Barry. The photo shot in front of the rock.
Oh, it
is phenomenal.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, isn't it? Just, it's a real unique experience for everyone.
The world titles.
Eric, are you okay? Just to join, we're live on our Sky Sports media stream here. Great to see you. I mean,
yeah.
I think you're doing exactly what we're all doing. That you walk out and you see the backdrop and you just went wow and had a photo there. I mean, that is something special to be part of this, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know what, man? I was just talking to my team when we got here right now. Coming from America, being a part of this event here, another historic event, like I was down in Saudi Arabia. So tough times in the world going on, and to walk in and to see this gave me chills. I love boxing, and this just left me speechless. This atmosphere, I mean, this is beyond my dreams.
Yeah, I'm sure it does take your breath away. Just a word on the fight on Saturday night. I saw some great quotes from you saying, look, Fabio Wardley isn't unbeatable. He's been nowhere near the sort of level of experience and quality of opponent that I've been in. What do you know about Fabio, and what have you got to do to beat him?
Well, you know what? I see he's young, he's hungry, but in this heavyweight division, or something that I see off him, he's a little too confident for his experience. I don't think he's got great size. I don't think he's got great skills. I think he makes a lot of mistakes. I've been a fighter that can exploit mistakes, and I definitely have that power to make him pay for those mistakes. Saturday night, the game plan is to do exactly that.
You mentioned Fabio's hunger there. What about your hunger and your motivation? I presume you come here full of confidence. What does a win here do for you?
I'll be honest with you, man. Back at home, where I come from in the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, is one of the hardest hit areas in the world. And I'm going to be completely honest with you, man. A win or a loss to me in this night doesn't mean nothing to me. I want to show the world that I could fight. I want to show them the motivation of these hard times that brought to me. I want them to say that this guy could still fight, and I'm coming to do just that. I don't care about the win or the loss. I'm here to make it rough. I'm here to be rough, and I'm here to do whatever it takes to be victorious.
Yeah, very well said. Stay safe while you're here, and for everybody back in America that's watching that, I'm sure you want to wish him good luck and stay safe. Very good message. Thank you very much. So I think Fabio Wardley is actually going to walk right past him here, which I don't think is a bad thing.
And he's got for pads, which would be a nice little. You can get on the pads now and hear, so Molina can hear the power. Molina's full of confidence, and rightly so, though, because he has boxed at the higher level, as we've said. So he is, and I don't believe that. I don't care if I win or lose. I understand.
Just about to say, when someone says that, I always get a little bit worried, because
I think he's trying to say what's going on in the world today.
Yes.
So it means nothing really.
Absolutely agree.
We're fighters in where we come from, and I'm not giving my all.
It's bigger than boxing. I think that's really what he's saying. But I can put words in his mouth. I'm 100% sure he wants to win. He says it doesn't matter, but it does. That's why he's here. That's why he's trained hard.
It's a real issue if he doesn't, really, for him, because he's been boxed at world level. Now he gets beat by a guy who's only had a handful of fights, and where does he go from there? He starts becoming cabin fodder then potentially. So it's a big platform for him, but still a level below what he's been used at. He used to be boxing at, of course.
Have you done a Fabio Wardley fight live before? Is this going to be your first time that you've seen him in action?
First time. Yeah. I've covered it. I covered it on the day after, obviously, of course. With
during fight camp.
The fight camp. Yeah, but yeah. But
I'd be really
impressed.
Yeah, I'd be really interested what you actually make of him now. You're seeing him up close. I mean, first of all, he is very lean and he is tall. I mean, he's taller than Molina. He's bigger.
He's bigger than what I thought, and that's when I saw him on TV with Larty, because Larty is a giant. Everyone's a giant to me, of course, but relatively speaking. But Larty's a giant, and when I seen Larty in the ring with him, I didn't think he looks. I can't believe much. That's not the same Larty. I couldn't believe it. Then obviously I had to obviously realise that this young man here, he's a big limp as well. So I've been impressed with him. He's done nothing wrong, but still he hasn't really taken a really heavy shot of a big heavyweight yet. And all these tests that we've seen that with Dubois, of course. He looked fantastic in his career, and he was still he's still boxing well against Joe Joyce, but getting hit by a big heavyweight that's stepping up in levels, it can have a different effect on you, and you see that for everyone, of course. So you need these tests, and I think it's an ambitious test for him. But if he passes this, then then they can fast track him. I think because you just box a guy who lost 2 world title fights, but wasn't totally disgraced. He was never winning those fights, but he's a tough competitor at a higher level. So
Brian J says Wardley 1 or 2 rounds. You could see it in heavyweights. I mean, it's
a statement.
That is a statement. It
is a statement. You'd love to see it, but I also would say, just for Wardley, that as much as you want to impress, be smart and be safe. Against a guy with much more experience than you, you want to see what he's going to come out with a little bit. Because it's not just boxing styles and abilities. It's little tricks that you learn along the way that you don't really see until you're in there with somebody, and you almost can't explain it. But they'll get their foot on the outside, or they can intimidate you with their presence. And obviously you haven't boxed at that level yet. He's had fantastic sparring, of course, but sparring and fighting are 2 different things. So yeah, I would say just use the jab first of all. Use what you got, and just see what he's doing. Don't take no massive stupid things early in the first round or 2. Just work your way into it.
I'm a big fan of the fact that he doesn't seem to mind going out on the road and sparring. They told me before the Dubois-Joyce fight that he had been up and sparred Dubois and was impressed, but didn't think that Daniel was sort of the impenetrable giant that we'd been made out to be. Know that he sparred Dillian and all of Dillian's camp, and Babic, and all of the normal contenders. I think he went up and sparred AJ. That must be unbelievable education to go up and just to share the ring with them.
Again, though, that's what he needs, because he hasn't had a wealth of amateur experience. He needs that because he's learning on the job. And this is a thing that we see with a lot of fighters now, because they are, aren't they? But he really is learning on the job, so he needs all that sparring as much closer as you can get to that fight, that real fight experience. And against those guys who obviously some of them will be rivals if he wins tonight, if he wins Saturday night, of course they will be straight away. So that'll be. I think yeah, and that shows ambition, and you want that, because a lot of especially heavyweights don't really want to get engaged in all. They want to stay in their own little corner, doing their own work, but not really want to test themselves even in the gym.
A lot of people asking John H particularly, will Campbell Hatton be on this stream? The plan is for Campbell Hatton to be on this stream tonight. We've all come in dribs and drabs on sort of shuttle buses, and Campbell was waiting to get on one, so I can't give you a time, but I'm hoping that Campbell Hatton, I'm almost certain Campbell Hatton will come out and do a couple of rounds, and we can have a chat with him, Matthew and Ricky. I think we're all excited. I mean, what a situation to make your debut in. I'm sorry, I don't want to take away from Wardley, but for Campbell Hatton, this is unbelievable.
It's the pressure with him anyway, because of his name, the name Hatton is enough. But for all this as well, it's something special, isn't it? And it's a lot of pressure on that kid. And we had him on the podcast. I did say, that, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to go and have a little chat with Conor Benn. Turning pro with a huge name with all those expectations.
Absolutely.
A lot of people want to see you fail. Nothing can be good enough. Because you're going to be compared to your dad, whether you like it or not. Even at this early stage, you're going to be compared to your father, and it's not fair because you're trying to learn and stuff. So, and especially if like Conor, it looks like Campbell's got very stylistically similar to his dad. So the comparisons are going to be huge, and then that's obviously the expectations are going to be maybe too big to start off with. But also you get the debut in a beautiful place like this, and not a leisure centre like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly. So you get in front of the live float in front of one man. What about Fabio Wardley in the British title? Is that a route that you would like to see him pursue? I mean, there is talk of him and Nathan Gorman down the road.
Yeah, of course you would. Well, to be honest, the British title now is pretty much the European title, isn't it? That's all the heavyweights we have in this country, in the UK at the minute. I think so. And also that just holds him back a little bit as well, because he's an ambitious kid, and he already wants to go all the way to the top, like they all do nowadays. But fighting for the British title will hold you back. To defend against another British fighter, there's money to be made there, and then also you may pick up one of the older heavyweights who are on the way out. To give you that level to step up to just fringe world level. But for me, I think for Saturday night, the all important thing would be for Wardley is literally just stick to your plan, keep safe, use that jab. The footwork he got is really good for the heavyweight. He's nice and smooth. I understand why Molina says he's not the biggest heavyweight, because he's very nimble on his feet. But that can work for you sometimes, and I think that would be what I would like to see from him.
Robert Hodgins joins us on the stream. Fabio, I'm very well, thank you, Robert. Not a huge fan of flying, are you? How did that all go for you?
It went all right. I think that the team looked after me and they settled me down there, so it was all right. A bit shaky when we were landing, but it was all right.
Apparently one of the most trickiest landings in the world. I mean, and everyone was telling you that before we did, so I took no pleasure in people telling you that.
Well, before we left, Fab was sending me on YouTube Gibraltar landings, so I've had nightmares. I haven't slept for about 2 days. I've got these bags under my eyes.
What did you make it out in time to see Eric Molina's
workout,
or have you done all the research you need to do?
To be fair, I've done a lot of research after the Hrgovic fight as well, because he was out for a long time, a 2-year break. So what I done was I thought, you can't judge him on that last fight, and he is from a good pedigree, done very well against Wilder, done very well Joshua, he's fought these guys, he's not a bad boxer. I watched his fight with Dominic Brazil, and he's his feet underneath his shoulders, but he's got very quick hands, and he will lure you onto that right hand. He's got very good, he throws that double right hand twice, so we've been studying him.
And what can we look out for on what you and Fabio have been doing? We were talking about the need for rounds, the need for experience, but at the moment you're ticking every box that you need to. How are things behind closed doors? Are you happy with the way that you're all progressing?
I think I want Fabio to show what he does behind closed doors. I don't think he's shown what he has shown yet. He is skillful and he moves, but you don't see his feet move too well, and I want in this fight him to show his feet. If he moves his feet, it could be a good night for us. Yeah.
What is a statement performance? How bothered are you about doing things quicker than other people have done them? Does that? If
A beats B,
you say that, but I wonder if Fabio deep down is thinking, I want to do it.
Because he beat Richard quicker than Gorman beat and Daniel, it doesn't work like that. A don't beat C. As long as he puts in a good performance, box is clever, and boxes behind that jab, I'll be very happy.
And obviously Eddie Hearn's going to have his say on the future. I was just asking Barry there about the British title route. Your thoughts on that? Would that be? Do you want to win the British title with Fabio Wardley, or are you not going to be sort of pigeonholed? You'll go wherever the big fights are and whatever Eddie sort of.
The British for me, growing up, the British title is prestige for me. So Fabio's young, but he knows his boxing. So the British title would be something that we'd like to go for. You guys are quite tight with Team Dillian Whyte. Obviously, Fabio is still managed by Dillian, isn't he? I think. Have you got any thoughts on the main event? I mean, you're going to be so focused on your own fight, mate. I probably won't ask Fabio about it, but have you got any thoughts on the main event? Dylan's got that nice trainer in. I think he's very good. I think he worked with Lennox Lewis, if I'm correct.
Harold Knight,
and
Harold Knight.
I don't think he's going to get Dylan jumping in before Dylan. Other times wears his hearts on his sleeve and likes to swing, but I think Dylan's going to box perfect this time, and I think it's going to be midway stoppage. Fingers crossed.
How do you feel about being a part of an event like this? When Eddie said, because lockdown boxing has changed it for everyone, hasn't it? And some opportunities are not forthcoming for some guys who still probably haven't got out in the pandemic. For Fabio to get out in fight camp, then to get out at Wembley, and to get out now, it's a pretty good going. And this, it's not a bad setting, is it? I feel guilty for even being here talking about it.
Well, I walked upstairs and I saw on the pool there and I thought, can we do our workout in there?
Right, Rob, we haven't mentioned the pool on the stream. There isn't a swimming pool here. No one's on the screen. What swimming pool? What are you talking about?
To be fair, we've been very lucky than most boxers. I've got a stable of boxers and Fab's the only one who's been able to get out. We've done the fight camp at Eddie's house, which was amazing. It was beautiful. Then we've done Wembley in November, and to be here, it's just like, it's like we're floating at the moment. It's a dream.
I haven't even. I mean, you say we're floating. I haven't actually given this any context. We are actually on a boat. We're actually on a yacht, so we're on the water. So we are floating. I don't want to get the name of the hotel wrong. Sunborn. The Sunborn Hotel. Get in serious trouble if I get that wrong. But yeah, beautiful surroundings.
Fabio Wardley, undefeated young heavyweight, fighting out of Ipswich.
Right, let's see if Fabio will join us very briefly on the stream. Fabio,
support for Saturday night.
can I just stand you in there? We are live on the Sky Sports Facebook stream, Twitter and YouTube. How's everything? Just how excited are you to get going on Saturday, and what can we expect from you against two-time world title challenger Eric Molina?
Yeah, it's fantastic to be a part of an event like this. Like, it's just, I think everyone arriving today has really kind of made it hit home that we're part of something big, and it's something I'm really thankful for, and I'm really looking forward to having a decent competitor in there. Someone who's credited, someone who's been around the block, someone who's, even as big as this event is, has been to stages like this before. He's not going to be worried. So yeah, I'm looking forward to putting on a real performance this one.
Yeah, he also said, he didn't mean it disrespectfully, but he's not worried about you. He feels that he's boxed at a much greater level than you, against better opponents, and perhaps doesn't see you as the threat that other people see you as.
Yeah, and that's a fair comment, I think, from his side. Like, why, if I was in his shoes and I'd done all the things maybe that he's done, I wouldn't see me as a threat either. But it's my job on the night to prove that I'm a real threat, not just to him, but to a lot of other heavyweights in this division.
Do you still believe that, just in terms of the matching and the progression, we haven't been given the chance to see the best of you yet? Just not because it sounds like I'm digging the matchmaker out, but because of the matches, you haven't had someone that's extended you yet.
Yeah, of course. Well, we've picked different opponents, like we had with Simon. We tried to find someone who was well scored, a good ABA guy.
Simon
Vallily, sorry, yes, got him out of there. Richard Larty, same thing. We picked someone who was rugged and tough, and someone who could take a few shots, and again, got him out of there. So we've gone for experience this time around. We'll find someone with experience, and maybe they know how to manage their way around the ring for a bit longer, and we'll get into maybe potentially the second half of the fight, but we'll see.
Only you and Robert know how hard you're hitting, though. So in that respect, if you hit Eric Molina, do you believe that you can put him away, and if so be it, if that's early?
Yeah, Eric, any other heavyweight in the division, if I hit you properly and when I want to, like you say, I choose between my punches of sometimes they're nice and sharp and quick, and sometimes I will sit through them, and if I choose to hit you, you will stay hit.
Just one word on the future as well. Look, one fight at a time, but where do you see yourself going? There's so much talk about the British title at the moment. Is that in your crosshairs at all?
Yeah, of course. Like, the next thing on my list is to tick off another title, whether it be potentially the British, maybe European, maybe even Commonwealth, something like that, potentially. That's the marker at the moment, is to get through this tough test, and then look towards some other bit of silverware, some other bit of title I can tick off.
Fabio, go well. Thank you so much for joining us live on the stream. We'll crack straight on. I don't want to keep you because for all the blazing sunshine, it is freezing up here. It is freezing. Okay, so you can see there in the reverse cap, father, son and trainer, Georgie Schofield with the mask on, Shay Neary. I mean, you can't mistake him. As I said, Barry, he looks exactly the same as he always did. And JJ Metcalf, Kid Shamrock.
Championship on Saturday night in a 12-round bout with Ted Cheeseman. Please welcome to the ring the Liverpudlian. He's the undefeated Scouser, Kid Shamrock, JJ Metcalf.
I love what you said when you were teeing this one up, just in terms of like the experience gap and the age and how that, what that does in terms of making people favourites. James Metcalf, unbeaten in 21, 101 rounds, 13 of those wins have come inside the distance against Ted Cheeseman, who's considerably younger at 25, but perhaps has been in deeper at title level against, I don't want to say better opponents, but they probably are better opponents.
Of course they are. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just those careers panned out. But there's a flip side. That there's a lot of miles on the clock as well for Cheeseman, because there's very rarely a fight that it's not hard work. Even the fights that he's winning, the way he's fighting, it's
just the way he fights, isn't he?
He can box, but he likes to get involved in a war, and just those rounds he did with Garcia were enough for most boxers to go, I might call it a day here, but he's a tough kid who can box it. But this is a tough kid. With Metcalf, he's more of he boxes more, so he engages his brain more than maybe Cheeseman. I'm not saying he's a better boxer than Cheeseman, slightly probably is, but he engages his brain more quicker, so he's always willing to look to box first. You just tend to think, you tie him in with his dad and think, because they look very similar, that he's going to be a non-stop aggressive fighter. But he also has that in him as well, Metcalf, that he's happy to stand his ground, and if he thinks he's hurt you, as we've seen in the past, because I've covered quite a lot of his fights, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I've seen in the past, he puts his foot on the gas, and you can see a nasty side of him. So you can understand why people will maybe favour him, because he's the fresher of the two, and he looks nice and neat, and the wear and tear is not there. But I think he has to go in the underdog. I think I half fancy him, to be fair. But I think he has to go in the underdog because Cheeseman has been at a higher level. He knows what it's like when you hit that wall in round 9 and 10. In a really hard fight, and he can push through it. And that might be needed. Actually, I think that will be needed on Saturday night.
Such a good fight, though.
It's a great fight. I can't see. It's almost impossible to see any other scenario that it'd be, even if they don't really go all out wall straight away. It's very hard to see a scenario where it's not a good fight to watch. It really is.
You talk about, we didn't even mention this with father-son pressures in terms of Hatton. JJ Metcalf, that's a pretty big reputation to live up to when your dad was Shane Neary.
Well, I've been quite impressed with it that he hasn't just fallen into that same mould as his dad and gone, fighting, to heart in your sleeve and going out and just trying to tear through everybody. But he actually used. To be fair, I think Shane could box better than what we gave him credit for.
Yeah, probably could.
We just remember the wars he was in.
But that's how you remember people, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't remember.
By the way, people forget he was a prime time star at one point. He really was, but there's a pressure there because again, we're doing it now automatically. You compare it to your dad. You always compare. So there's pressure there, but there's also you get the opportunities as well. It's a two-edged sword.
So yeah, this one on paper. We're all super excited for the vacant British super welterweight title. Georgie Schofield, will you give us just a couple of minutes on the stream just while JJ's going through a little workout there?
Okay. Buddy.
Yeah, George.
We're looking forward to this one, George.
Yeah, so we.
Set this one up. What sort of fight are you expecting from your man against Ted Cheeseman?
Well, we watched Ted obviously, and he has 2 ways of going. Against Fitzgerald, he backed off him early, and with the rest of what we've seen of him, he's going forward. He keeps changing it. He's only a young lad. He's 25, so he's changing his styles and things like that. But we'll be ready for him, whatever way he comes.
We think this is going to be.
We think
it's going to be blood, guts, and thunder.
I think it's going to outshine Dillian Whyte's fight. I'm not just saying this. I think it will.
Well, stylistically, I think you're right. I think it is. Again, we say that obviously, Jake can box, and he does box more than what we think. But we've seen him
fight as well.
He knows, he likes it, doesn't he? But I think he keeps his discipline quite well. For a kid who likes to fight, he keeps his discipline quite well. I'm pretty impressed with that. But in this fight with these two styles, because Cheeseman's trying to box more than he has, because he can box a bit. He's trying to engage his brain more. But at some point,
we've got loads of respect for Ted. No one's overlooking him, nothing like that. You know what I mean? We know it's going to be a hard fight. Yeah. We know, but he's fit as anything, this lad, and Ted is. So it's going to be a cracking fight on the night. It really is.
You've got such a good eye for this because you trained a father and son team. There aren't many that can say that they trained father and son. They won't like me saying it, but when we came up and saw you in the early ringside days, you said, look, JJ's got all the capabilities of being better than his dad.
At the early days, and he's proven it now. There's Jim, who I looked after, and Jay's got a bit more about him, boxing-wise. We started... Jay's dad was just a fighter all the time. He was just ruthless. Everyone knew about him, but we learned some boxing as well. And we had to because the top people he was fighting.
Georgie, thank you. No, that's okay. No, we've been given the international sign for stop talking, which is there. Yeah, really good to see you as well. Jimmy Neary, Shay Neary joins us. How are you doing, Shay? So just some photos being taken here of JJ Metcalf. I think he'll give us a quick interview. He's not big on
JJ Metcalf, ladies and gentlemen.
JJ, will you give us a quick couple of words on our stream? JJ, this is some backdrop, isn't it? Just are you pinching yourself when you look around here?
I'm made up to be here. No, it's been a hard year. We haven't been able to get away anywhere, so for it to be here makes it a lot better. Yeah.
Just talk us through this fight. Just what can we expect from mostly you, but you and Ted? We feel that when that first bell rings, it's going to be a war, and it could be the fight of the night. I'm sure you'll just say, look, if I can make it easy, I will, but I don't know. I don't know if you two I don't know if the styles can mean that it's going to go like that.
I'm expecting a hard fight. Every time Ted gets in the ring, he gives everyone a hard time. So, and I'm fit and ready, and I believe I can win this fight, and I'll do nothing but win this fight.
It's all about progression as well. Do you believe that this is the right time? I say timing's everything in boxing. Is this the right time for you to face Ted Cheeseman and the right time for you to become British champion?
Definitely, yeah. Everything happens for a reason, and you know, we've had some bad fortune, and I think it's just all coming into place now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. The whole team, go well. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do you know what I love about that? Although we are live on our stream, people talk to you as if they're not. George Schofield's
Hey, people are talking to me, I'm happy.
We did a shoot with them, and it went out on our social media not so long ago, donkeys years ago, and it's really good to see the sort of the power triangle staying together. They obviously work, you know, it works for them.
And also, it's very even with trainers and boxers, it's very rare that there's not some sort of animosity. So when they finish, you know, they tend to have a little bit of the contact is lost. Not always the case. Some, you know, stay friends forever, of course, but it's nice to see it, and the trust that Shay has to go. This is my son. Can you take him on? And that's a bond there. That boxing's fantastic for the times. No, it really is.
Broken Nose Boxing says some amount of experience in JJ Metcalf's corner. Yeah, I mean, that is understatement of the century. But you could say that about Ted Cheeseman. I mean, I saw you put some lovely things on social media about Tony Sims, just in terms of the presence and the calmness he brings in a corner.
Yes, you know, I said he'll say in 3 words what someone will say in 100, and like, you know,
what a great skill.
Yeah, it's great skill. It's impossible actually.
It's not something that we do.
I'm useless at math, to be honest. But it's no, certainly me. But no, he is. He's like, he's real calm experience, and he's a lovely guy to be around. But you know, he's quite quiet. You know, he's a big fella. If you sit down and just shut your mouth and listen to him, which I find it hard to do, the knowledge is so vast. It really is. It's so vast, and yeah, and the gym he's got at the moment. That's the good thing for Ted. That gym now that's there. It's bubbling. They're all getting it now, and they kind of look at Joe Godin.
Felix Cash.
They're right on the verge of being, you know, getting close to that sort of a world honours, all of them.
Yeah, really. All at the same time as well. It's a great group. It's
unbelievable. And see, when you turn professional, it's hard because when you're an amateur, you're all trained as a team. You all box at the same nights, same shows, same competitions, so you can train together. When you're a professional, even though you're training with the pros, your schedules are different, and somehow Tony's got them all sort of in the same. And all
firing as well. Let's talk about Ted Cheeseman. I don't think, you know, Sam Eggington and John Pegg won't thank me for it because they were very, very confident that they won the fight. But Ted Cheeseman's emotional interview at the end, where he said, "I put everything into boxing. I put my whole life into boxing, blood, sweat, and tears." And he was on a bad run of decisions that he could have got, but he didn't get. The Garcia one aside. So, you know, it was nice to see someone get the results that they wanted from boxing.
And he's had issues outside the ring, you know, and he's been open about them as well, you know, with the gambling and stuff. So, you know, he was a kid. If that didn't go his way, then maybe, you know, he's on a slippery slope to a bad place, of course. But I also think that, you know, he's using his brain more. I think that's the Tony Sims trying to get him to box more, you know, because, you know, having wars and tearing through people is fantastic, but, you know, it takes miles off the clock. It takes years off you for your boxing career. So he's 25, and Shay is what, 32?
32, yeah.
Shay, sorry, JJ, sorry.
It's an easy mistake, I know.
But you know, it don't feel like that. You know what I mean? Because of the experience that Ted's had, and also for the wars that he's had, and I think that evens it up a little bit more, because the experience he's had and the people he's been in against. You know, even the people like Senior Byfield, who was on a real good run, a horrible nightmare to box. And Ted, Ted did tremendously well. So you know, when he uses his brain, because having that war, being tough, and being able to dog it out with anyone, keep that in your back pocket. You got that. You don't have to use it every time.
Let me put a scenario to you. It must be difficult though, because arguably that works in certain situations. That works for Ted. That very aggressive come forward style. So although you want him to box more, you also don't want him to lose that natural aggression. It must be a difficult balancing act.
No, but what you want to do, what he did against Garcia, and forget about defence.
Yeah.
And stop using the jab and just trying to walk into him, because if I get on you, if I can hurt you, you can't hurt me because you're not a puncher, for instance. But that, sometimes that don't matter. The guy keeps on boxing, keeps whacking you with shots, and you're walking in straight line. So you have to. I'm not saying you've got to start dancing on the ring like Muhammad Ali, but because to be honest, he's not going to. You got him second best, I think, if he does that against Metcalf. To be fair, because Metcalf, I think, has got the more fluent feet. But he can stalk him down behind an educated jab, and do it that way, box that way. And then when he gets him on the ropes, rather than just stay in front of him and swing away, he can take a little pivot to the side, a little step around the right, and get different angles for shots. And I think he's capable of doing that, but it takes a lot of mental capacity, and that takes a lot of energy out of you when you're thinking constantly. So they're doing that in the gym, and they're working out in the gym to try and get that, because you want it to be, like everything, you want everything to come smooth and natural. So when you think and engage your brain when you're used to doing it, it can be draining physically, not just mentally.
What about the wider scene here? And every time I talk about this division, I leave someone out, so I try not to list the names, but we're in a position at the moment where you feel like you don't want people to move on from domestic level, because we've got such a good group there, like Fowler winning last weekend. He's already talking about fighting Sergio Garcia. He said, I don't want to wait around, but he also did say, well, if Metcalf wins, that would be a huge fight, me and him, an all Liverpool battle when the crowds come back. I just wonder with Ted, the draw against Kieran Conway is one that he might want to go back over. Fitzgerald was a fight that he felt that he won, and some of us had it that way on the night, a lot of others didn't. He might want to revisit that, but at the same time, if you stay at domestic level forever, you might leave yourself short.
Stuck, because that's a worry. Boxers are ambitious, and why shouldn't they be? So you can step up a level, you'll keep going upwards until you can't. But if there's a big fight domestically, you've got to take it. Of course you have. Why wouldn't you be stupid not to? But you want to have another crack at the European title. If you beat Metcalf on Saturday night, you'll think that's a step towards the European title shot again.
Metcalf, the undefeated Scouser, fighting 12 rounds.
Okay. When Ted jumps out, hopefully he'll give us a quick word.
The Rumble on the Rock, all brought to you courtesy of Eddie Hearn at Matchroom Boxing.
MC David Diamante doing the honours in the ring. Ted, are you alright just to give us a quick word live on Sky Sports? How do you feel now you're here? What a tremendous opportunity on this card, but also a shot at the British title, which I know you desperately want to get your hands on.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm in real good shape. I've got a lot of experience now. I've done this time and time again. I'm just ready to perform on Saturday night.
What about JJ Metcalf? How much do you know about him? Have you watched a lot of him, or do you leave that to Tony Sims?
Obviously, we both watched a bit of him. There ain't too much to take because the opposition he's fought against, you don't know. We're going to see how good JJ is really on Saturday when he fights me. It's his first proper test, and he's going to have a sink or swim.
What about when that first bell rings? Both of you are talking a good game about, using our brains, boxing sensibly, but we can't help but think from outsiders looking in that you both have that red mist, and if it comes to that, it could be a war.
Yeah, I think our styles are going to gel very well, and no matter what, it's going to set a light at some point.
You've had your setbacks in your career. It just felt that you turned a corner against Eggington, that close fights in the past that could have gone your way didn't go your way. That one did on the night. I just wonder if that's giving you sort of a newfound confidence and the launch pad to go on again. Yeah,
it's just given me the love of boxing back. When you have a free fight run where things ain't going your way and you feel like nothing's going your way, when you get your bit of luck and you feel like you deserved it, obviously now it's bringing my confidence back and my love back for the sport to push on and go all the way.
What's your prediction for Saturday? What do you reckon?
I've done I think I'm going to stop him all thinking on points. Whatever I'll win, I just want to win.
Yeah, winning's all that matters, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. Go well. Ted Cheeseman with Mark Seltzer there, just looking over.
We've got a very exciting gentleman coming into the ring right now. This will be his first open workout of the pro ranks since Saturday night. It'll be his first professional bout. Highly anticipated professional debut from this gentleman from Manchester. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Campbell, the Hurricane Hatton.
The Hurricane, what you thinking with the nickname first off? The Hitman and the Hurricane?
All right, in my chair. We'll see what he's like on Saturday night. It could be really apt or not.
I think it will be.
I think it will be. Yeah, it's exciting because the good thing about him is he's a real confident kid. Now, remember, this is a kid who hasn't grown up like most boxers, like most of us have, with nothing, and after the ambition is to get something. He's grown up with stuff because his dad's been his dad's been a rich man since he's been a baby, of course, but he wants to do it. You can see it actually. I know people just say it, but you can see he wants to do it more than just wants to be famous. He wants to be the boxer.
What about your thoughts on? I'm saying it quietly because he's literally right next to us, but Ricky almost taking a little bit of a step back and saying to Matthew,
Perfect.
You do it. What it means is you haven't got clouded judgment, but you have got someone that you trust there in your brother, in Matthew Hatton leading the corner.
Listen, you'd be a fool not to have Ricky around you, even if he's not your father. Just because of all the experience that he has. But also, I think that's right. Because sometimes the father, you want it so much for your son, because it's your son. I know I got kids of my own, so you do anything for them. But even though it's his uncle, just have a little bit of a different take. And Matthew's training kids all the time, and I think and Matthew was a really good boxer as well. And so I think I think you'll have Campbell moving more and thinking more rather than just wanting to get involved in wars. So I think it's a good move. Yeah. But he talks so well. That's a good thing about Campbell. Not just his ability. He knows how to work the media this early in his career, and that's only bodes well for if his ability in the ring can match that, then it's going to be exciting times ahead.
Ricky Hatton joins us. Ricky, first things first, did you have any input on the Man City badge that's been plastered on Matthew's tracksuit top, which he is less than impressed about? You're saying no, but
Campbell was brainwashed from about 6 months old about the City route, and I don't think Magic was too keen on it when it first come on, but he knows the script. He's like my son, and he looks like me, fights like me. He supports City, he listens to Oasis, he loves all the Manchester tunes. He's very proud of where he comes from, and even though he, like I always said, even though it was the blue side of Manchester I supported, I did it for Manchester in general, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to do it for the whole city. He's a very proud Mancunian.
How's he coping this week? I mean, you can say all the right things, and then you walk out here and you see this backdrop and the ring on top of a yacht, and all of a sudden it's not, as I said to Barry, it's
It's very similar to my debut. My debut was in Widnes, so
you beat me too. I was just about to say to Barry, it's very different being the live float on at the end of the night.
It's a little bit different, to be honest with you. But no, I tell him every day he should be so proud, for the opportunity he's got here to box on a debut such as this. It's absolutely fantastic. And when we these kids out there that aren't getting the opportunities, aren't getting the fights, you should be grateful. And I said, go out there and and prove how grateful you are with a performance for your debut. But he's a good kid, Campbell, and although there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, there's been a lot of build up for him, which is obviously going to be tough. If I didn't think he could cope with it, I wouldn't have told him to put them on in the first place, the gloves. I really wouldn't, honest. I think he can cope with it.
It's a hard one, though, isn't it? That as much as people would say, you get all, like Conor Ben, get all the opportunities because he has the last name Hatton, but the pressure would be, I'd rather not have it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Barry, there's a lot of pressure with having, like for Conor had with Nigel, and like Campbell has, with me, and they say, well, having that name will open a few doors for you. Maybe there's a case for that, but I'd rather go the opposite. For a 20-year-old, only 28 amateur fights, having his professional debut on a big thing like this, Matchroom and Sky Sports will give him the massive build-up, and he only had 28 amateur fights. He's a babby, you know what I mean? I had 75 amateur fights boxed for England and this and that. He hasn't. But if I didn't think he could cope with it, I wouldn't be allowing this to happen.
And also he's grown up around it, hasn't he, Rick, as well? So he's sort of seen you, how you react, how you cope with the pressure.
Well, probably the best way I cope with it when I boxed at Madison Square Garden in my 18th fight. I think he'll cope with this because he's in the blood. He's got my roots, I guess.
And with that in mind, what's the expectation for the debut? What do you want him to get out of it? Is it just to relax into it,
well, I think
enjoy it?
It's gonna be difficult. I think any father, you'd like him to have a nice house and a car and a pension first, and something just in the. But I mean, long term, I mean, I always say, reach for the stars, Campbell. Don't settle for anything. Well, I mean, sometimes when lads say to you, if I can have half as what you. It's not the right attitude. You've got to reach for the stars, and if you don't get there, you won't fall far short. If that's the attitude you have, and that's the attitude he has.
No, I tell all these kids, the chance that most people won't make it. I say, but to chase a dream, which is what you did, I did. To chase a dream is something that you just can never get back. You know what I mean?
Well, he's in the ring here now with our Matthew, and if you look at our Matthew's career, he lost a couple of 6 rounders. He got disqualified in an 8 rounder years ago. He lost a couple of six rounders. He had very little amateur experience like Campbell did. But look what he did. He had a European title, defended it 3 times, I think it was. Went the distance for sold out Alvarez from no amateur experience. Matthew only won a novice title as an amateur. No. Campbell's only done the same. So if I can do it, Matthew can do it. Don't tell me this little fella can't.
And how are you going to be on the night? I mean, it's all well and good saying, look, we've done all the work we can do in the gym, but when he's waiting to make that ring walk, how are you going to be? Is your heart going to be beating out your chest?
Solible when he was doing 3-2s in the junior ABAs, but I mean, but no, I mean, I'm his manager, Matthew's his trainer, and even on the night, I feel I've got my job to do as his manager, as being positive, giving him the right advice, and if I'm crumbling and crying like a wet lettuce, I'm not doing my job, am I? So no, I mean, everything will be all right on the night, as they say.
Style-wise, I mean, we don't want to categorise him already, but he is going to have the Hatton genes, you would think.
Absolutely, and just a little bit, see little steps to the side, puts the body shots in there, all good off a good left jab, which is one thing I didn't, use in my amateurs, and we tried to pass on, so one thing passing on my strengths. I think I've been very fortunate to pass on my weaknesses, and I think, I said, listen, son, when I was a little bit too aggressive and I got cut left, right and centre. Every fight used to get caught in me early in my career, and I nearly shortened my career by just being a little bit too giddy, and these are things that I'm able to tell him from the start, you know what I mean? Not 10 fights in like I found out, and that's the benefit of having the experience I've had.
Is that Matthew's influence? Because Matthew used to jab well, didn't he?
Yeah, both lies. I mean, listen, it's his aggressive style and the name and everything that's going to make his name. But Matthew is a very good defensive fighter, very cautious, very solid, and everything like that. So he's going to pick a little, he's going to pick up. He's going to have my strengths, but he's also going to have to pick Matthew's expertise, which was the defensive side of the game.
Yeah. From Manchester, the Hurricane Hatton.
Campbell just posing for 1 or 2 photos. That is going to be some backdrop on his phone, I reckon. That's going to be some screensaver for years to come. Campbell, you're right just to jump on Sky Sports live stream for us. That's the first bit ticked off a fight week. You've done the flight, you've done the media workout. How are you feeling? How are the nerves? I mean, I'm sure there's a hell of a lot of excitement going through your veins at the moment.
It's mainly excitement, really. Past few days I've started getting a bit of nerves, but it's mainly excitement. Like, there's a lot going on, so it's like distracting me a bit, so it's not too bad.
Whose idea was it to put the Man City badge on Uncle Matthew's chest? He was all over social media complaining about it. He's obviously a big red. Did you have anything to do?
He asked me for it. Well, he's talking about payback now, isn't he? So we'll see how it goes.
This isn't going to start at the start of fight week. What are you hoping for on not just the rest of the week, but on Saturday night from the whole experience?
To be honest, just the win's enough, but I want to show people what I'm like in the gym, because I don't want to be. I've been told time and time again, like Barry said it, my dad Matthew said it, like with the excitement there'll be an eagerness to please, so I don't want to get too carried away and spoil myself, so I just want to try and stay as relaxed as I can, to be honest.
Can you rewind back to how you felt before your first amateur fight and how it compares now?
Yeah, I was probably more nervous for that than I am this, to be honest, but yeah, to say that was at Real Town Hall, and then this is on some big flash boats, but yeah, just really excited. I am starting to get nerves creeping, but I feel like I'm dealing with them quite well.
Yeah, nerves are good, mate, nerves are good.
Yeah.
Just a final one, obviously, had this been back in the UK, I know you would have sold some tickets. I know that would have been a thing. Have you got a message for your supporters back home? Your dad said sort of when he fought for Manchester at United Red and Blue, at United everybody. I know you're going to want to do the same thing. You got a message not just for everyone back in Manchester, but all the friends and family back home?
Yeah, I want everyone to be impressed when they see me, not just people local to me, and I'm quite confident that as long as I do stay calm, that they will be impressed.
Brilliant. Go well. Wish you all the best. Nice one. chip off the old block, Barry.
in every way, isn't he? Yeah, it's brilliant. It's going to be an exciting ride. Looking forward to it. Really am. I really am. And I think that's good. I think the fact that Ricky's got trust in Matthew there, because he knows that Matthew's a different sort of experience now, because you've had to do it in sort of like not a harder way, of course. We've had to do it a quieter way, like most of us do. So we had to go through another route, and obviously had to hone his skills defensively better. And I think the mix of the two of them should be really good.
Carl, I was just about to bring in Carl Greaves, and he's been grabbed by Ricky Hatton. Carl, can I just stand you in here? You can take your mask off for this one. We are socially distancing. Carl, I don't want to undersell this, so please explain what Gibraltar means to you, because this isn't just a trip away for you to corner Kane Baker.
No,
Gibraltar means a lot more to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like home from home. I've been coming out here since 1999. A good friend of mine, Steve Noble, he moved out here, had the contract to transform Gibraltar, basically, do all the construction work, all the civil engineering. And then in 1999, there was an amateur show out here, and he spoke to the local amateur coach, Hearn Victory MBE, and he invited me out here to watch the show, and I fell in love with the place. I kept coming out, had a few sessions with Ernest, did some training with him, and we gelled really well. So basically I based myself out here for about 3 or 4 years on and off, spending 2 or 3 months at a time. And then in 2004 they got together with a local businessman, Andre Dubar, and they put a show on. I mean, sadly Andre's passed away now, and they wanted to put a pro-am show on, so they put 4 amateur fights on, 2 professional. I topped the bill. Boxed Rakim Ingalayev back in 2004, and then I had a little break from here for a few years. Came back in 2010, and the place had been transformed. All this was not here when I was here earlier on in my life. So come back, and I thought I met my new wife, Kimmy, and I said, if I ever get married again, it's going to be here. And obviously I got married on the Sunborn yacht that I'm still on.
You got married on here and had your honeymoon
here, yeah. So it's a crazy story. And 2018, I got married on here, had a great time, brought 50 people from England, and unbelievable. It brings back a lot of memories. I've been back quite a few times since then. I come back last year for Valentine's, treated the missus last February before lockdown. Had a nice meal up here, actually, just in the restaurant. So yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I love this place. Fell in love with it, as you can see. You know what I mean? It's amazing.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the stream. We're going to catch up with you later in the week. But I don't want to keep the big man waiting. From one big puncher in Carl Greaves to Alexander Povetkin, who I can see masked up and ready, just fulfilling a couple of media duties there. I wonder how much Povetkin will come out and do. In fight camp, he allowed us to come in and do a film his media workout became part of his training session, so it's actually, we got to see a hell of a lot. Was more my point. Until he absolutely threw us out.
Yes, I don't think he'd do much, but
no, I don't think he will.
He's so relaxed, aren't they? The whole crew, they're so confident. Obviously they've been everywhere, haven't they? They've been on the block, we've known forever. They've seen pretty much anything you could possibly throw at them in the boxing world. So you can understand why. This is just another fight, another build up to a fight, and he has no qualms. And of course, we're all talking about Dillian Whyte, but he got the win the last time. Let's not forget that. Whether he got knocked down twice or whatever, he got the win in an impressive fashion too. So you can understand why he's full of confidence. But he's so crazily laid back that
well, it's going to be my next point. Even at his stage, having done everything he's done, I mean, forgetting he was an Olympian and a top-class amateur, the pressure of going to an Olympic Games. I just wonder at 41 if he does take all of this in his stride now. If he.
All he's done since I've seen in the last couple of days, all he's done is nod and wink.
Yes.
More than that, and move a few steps. That's all it is. He does what he wants to do and takes his time. But
I went to go to the loo on the plane, and both were occupied, and I was waiting in the aisle, and guess who emerged from the cubicle? It was Alexander Povetkin, and he towered over me. And in the aisle when you're trying to, when they bring like a drinks trolley down all the sandwiches, and you're trying to get out the way, and you never can. I was trying to get out the way of him, and I failed miserably. And he gave me sort of like a small smile, but I don't think he was too amused, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. As long as you don't dip over that front foot, you're fine, aren't you? I mean,
I asked his team how they all, like the wider members of the team, how they all reacted. World of boxing around the world, and it's a mixture of happiness and shock and excitement. People jumping out of chairs back in Russia. That was, I know you weren't there, but you were sitting at home. It is still one of the most unbelievable knockouts. Not even just in the context of the fight, the fact he had been down, but the execution of the shot was just so good. For people that, I don't know, maybe a little bit lazy, that say, it was a fluke, it was a punch from the gods, he shut his eyes and threw it. Just clear that up. I mean, to execute that shot is unbelievable, isn't it?
We did the show before the fight camp, me and Matt Macklin. We were talking about what he does so well, and it was that engaging over the front foot. He takes his chest over the front foot, he dips down low, and once he's there, he got an option. He's all over his left side, so you're expecting a left hook. He whips our right hand over the top so many times. He caught Joshua with it, David Price and many others, or he comes back with a left hook. But what it does for him, so it's muscle memory. He does. If he sees a gap, he'll dip down there, and then he gives it. Then he'll assess his options in like a half a second. So that's why he's so impressive with him. But he's done it so often that he knows how to do it. And so once he's over that front foot, once he's dipped low, he can look up. And when you're looking up at an opponent, it's a different angle. You've got a whole different scope of gaps that you see. And usually he jumped in with the left hook because Dillian was so close. He's brought the uppercut through the middle. That's all that is, and you can't forget how dangerous he can be. He has slowed down. He's not at the peak of his career, nowhere near the peak of his career. His feet are slower, I think his hands are slower, but he's still dangerous. He can still punch.
Barry, I'm going to jump straight across you to Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how the devil are you? This is some setup. You don't do things by half measures. I don't really know why I'm surprised.
Well, it's been so painful, the whole process. And when I was on the plane, I started looking around, and people look really happy. One's probably to be getting out and away, but also, what an experience. I mean, this is the kind of things you remember. It's been amazing doing the bubbles at Wembley, but this is something you should remember, anyone on this trip, especially if you fight on this card, that you'll remember for your whole life and your career. So, amazing. I mean, look at that backdrop there. The weather's beautiful. You've got the drone over there. I've just seen that. Look, I mean, and I think we always want to make statements around the world, and this is, people will be watching going, what on earth are they doing over there? But that's what we want. So, and ultimately, actually, Dillian wanted a crowd. That's the reason we're here, because this is one of the few places where literally the entire population is vaccinated, and he said, I need to be, up for this. I need to feel the energy. I must win this fight. When the travel restrictions came in, I said, you've got to come back to the UK, or you've got to go to Spain and break camp. He said, I can't break camp, it's just too much on the line. So it's worked out great. We'll see if it works out great on Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, set it up for us. Just how much is riding on it for Dillian? A huge amount.
Yeah, I mean, Sky changed my quote a little bit, where I said it could be, if he loses, it could be the end of his world title ambitions. And Sky said, if he loses, it's the end of his world title.
Doesn't sound like
no,
us.
but no. But
like
to be honest, like, I don't think. I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it, that if he was to lose Dillian on Saturday night, the chances of fighting for the world title in the next 2 years are just have completely evaporated. I mean, Povetkin looks so comfortable. I mean, actually, when you think about it, I thought Povetkin today was going to chin me, because he's turned up. He's flown in from Russia to London. They've picked him up from the airport, taken him to the hotel. He's done his COVID test. He's gone to his room. Early the next morning, they've taken him to the airport again. 2 hours that he got stuck in traffic. And then they had to queue up in the car park because there was only one check-in stand open. You were there, Barry, And I'm thinking, I went, hi Alex, how are you? And he's probably thinking, this is a stitch-up. It's not. It's the way we had to do it. But he was chilled. He was chilled completely.
I don't think nothing fazed him.
No, he didn't. And I think they listen. Why shouldn't he be confident? He just won the last fight by a devastating knockout. We know he was over twice. I watched the fight back last night. They were flash knockdowns, but he was getting hurt a little bit too easy for my liking, but they were still flash knockdowns. He'll be thinking, well, my one weren't a flash knockdown, that's for sure.
But I think you're right. I think they were good shots, but I don't think he was as hurt as we thought, because we all got excited. Yeah. And it looked like Dillian was finishing it, to be honest. I just think that Dillian was comfortable with him close. I keep saying it, but it's true. he was comfortable with him close because he was having success with Povetkin close.
Yeah.
But you can't have this man close to you.
No.
I don't think.
And you know the problem is as well is Dillian's got it in his head going into this fight. I must be ruthless. I must be brutal. I must be this. So when he gets him hurt, he will jump all over him, which, by the way, is also dangerous. I mean, what do you? This is the problem for Dillian in this fight, where he's coming up against such a seasoned fighter in Povetkin. It's not a guy. People sometimes don't realise Dillian's background. You know, he was a kickboxer. In his early part of his career, he was paying himself to get on small hall shows just to get a chance. And it's a guy, very few fighters get to elite world championship level with that kind of background. So he's always playing catch up to the fighters with great pedigree. And that's a fighter, Alexander Povetkin, with great pedigree. So it's not, you can't just say, I'm going to go in there and when I get in hurt, I'm going to jump all over him. No, because that's why Alexander Povetkin is thinking, that's actually going to suit me down to the ground. You're going to make a mistake and I'm going to make you pay.
Well, he's dangerous until he's out, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's literally, I think what's important for Dillian is that he is discipline. It's the one thing that he doesn't have, to be fair, very rarely. But I think Harold Knight will help that dramatically.
I can't see this fight going 12 rounds. I don't know about you, but I can't. No. You know, because I think, I think it could go inside 6 rounds because, like I said, Dillian's got it in his head that I have to be like the old Dillian Whyte. When I've got someone hurt, I finish him. Agree in a little way, but I don't think there's a lot more he could have done last time because, you know, it's great looking back after the fact and saying should have done this. But hold on, you knocked him down twice. If you would have stopped him that round, it would have been a perfect punch, perfect performance. All of a sudden, you made a mistake by not finishing him.
I don't think you made a mistake. I think he was doing well with him close. He was doing so well with him close, and that's of course that's why you just keep that's why you wanted him close because he's blocking and countering. But I think ultimately, from the very beginning, as we spoke before the first fight, if we'd have kept him at the end of that long jab, I think the outcome would have been he might have still knocked him down twice, but he would have got caught himself.
Eddie's just jumped on with our colleagues on Sky Sports News. I want to ask you this: going into the fight, Dillian Whyte didn't have to fight Alexander Povetkin. He could have sat on his mandatory position with the WBC. Didn't have to take any risks. Actually, I think a lot of people would say, you know, fair play to you, all the credit to you for wanting to stay busy, wanting to gain more experience, you know, in terms of the fights that he's had over his career, still had limited amateur experience and you know, is learning on the job. I just wonder now how, if that plays on anybody's mind at all, the fact that, you know, that's life, you can't live with regrets.
But you know, you can't wrap yourself up in cotton wool, can you, for the big opportunity to come. I think you know, you have to keep busy. He wants to fight, to be fair to him. I know a lot of people say it, but I think he genuinely does want to fight people. You know, he wants to fight quality opponents. And also, he wants to get paid. You know, he just sat at home not earning no money. Why wouldn't you? The opportunity comes along and it's a good payday for you. Against it, and let's be honest, let's go back to what we all thought before the first fight. Against a really good fighter in Povetkin, who's been world champion, Olympic gold medalist, and who's been a fantastic operator, but he's not the same fight that he was 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 5 years ago. You know, he has slowed a bit. But still dangerous, and we sort of said he's still going to be dangerous, but we were literally trying to build it up so when Dillian finishes it, it's not like, oh, he boxed an old man and beat him up.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, but
it's different, isn't it? Because we know that he can hurt him. You know, it's not like we're trying to say something that hasn't already happened. You know, Dillian Whyte was knocked cold by Alexander Povetkin.
Oh yeah, and it wasn't. There was nothing. He was out before he hit the floor. It was as devastating a knockout as you'll find anywhere. To be honest, it was ruthless. And you know, and that can work. And the thing is, Dillian think I was winning the fight. I had it in the bag, and then he just catch me with a good shot, and he put me over. That can work two ways for you. And I know I was doing everything okay. I just do it again, or do a little bit better, and be a little bit cuter, or be a little more disciplined, and I walk the fight. Or you can have a demon. It can stay with you. And that's sometimes what happens to the night before the fight. You just wake up and think, I just let the guy knock me out. So you know, and again, you got to have a real self-belief and real self-confidence that, you know, whatever he did, it was just a blip.
How much will that play on Dillian Whyte's mind, do you think? I mean, it didn't play on his mind after AJ. He had an up and downer with AJ, and it obviously you know, cost him a little bit in terms of his progression, but it didn't seem to make him gun shy or cause him long-term problems. I wonder if there's any worry that it could you know, if it could play on his mind this time. Doesn't strike me as that sort of guy, Dillian.
It doesn't strike me like that either. I think he's very much, well, I'm in a fight, if I get knocked out, that's what happens.
Yeah, this is the game.
But it might do, because the AJ fight was different. It was a different stoppage and knockout for the start, and also he was in with the guy who was touted as the favourite, and was the guy on his way up. As, you know, they were both on their way up, but AJ was the heir apparent, which proved out to be true. But here he's boxing. I know the guys with loads of pedigree. This is a guy on his way out of the sport. You would feel. So and Dillian went in, the massive favourite. So that it can have an effect.
Can you break this down for us? What we're seeing here? Just is there any sort of intricacies that that someone like me that never learned the discipline of the sport, that just in terms of footwork and positioning?
What they're doing, they're getting the work off the jab, and then but everything. Well, not they're throwing the hooks, but what they're doing, they're getting to move his head as he moves forward. See, every time he throws a shot, he's moving the head. So the guy's taking the shot on the pads, then he's throwing straight away, and that's a good habit. I say it all the time. It's what you do after the punch is almost as important as the punch itself, because if you just throw a good shot, unless it knocks the guy out, you're there to get hit back. So you have to always move your feet, move your head, dip down or whatever. And Povetkin is a guy he's not the fastest of guys, but he's not the fastest of guys, but he closes the distance really quick.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's not got slow feet though, has he?
He's what they call a glider.
A glider, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he gets into you because he'll step with the jab. That's what makes it strong. You see it here. He steps with the jab. That's what makes him strong. And then he moves his head as well. As he moves his head, the feet are still moving forward. So you sort of don't notice that he's stealing your space with that front foot. And then all of a sudden he's on you.
What about the left hook? I mean, we kind of we did a piece before the first fight about the battle of the left hookers. It is a lovely shot, and he does throw it in it's very watchable the way he throws it.
Yeah, it's full of power. With Dillian's is more of a smooth whipping left hook, which is a fantastic shot of its own. Povetkin's is slightly different. It's closer to his body usually. Even when he jumps into it, it comes from his body. His body almost leans over. He flies into it, so it's more of a weighted, heavier shot rather than a whipping shot. And I can see him on the pads. And he obviously he's not going full out now on the pads here, Povetkin, but yeah, it's not super speed, but the timing's good.
Big old gloves as well.
Massive gloves, yeah, but the timing's good. So every shot is deliberate. There's not a wasted punch, and you find that with a lot of Eastern European type fighters, every punch they throw is correct and neat, and the economy is usually pretty good.
I think
was that on stream?
Yeah, it probably was on the stream. Yeah, making you
could have been worse.
Making you nervous when he's landing the left hook.
Yeah, I'll say what I said. I said when he lets his hands go, it makes my bum go. And what I mean by that is, you remember that night in the garden.
You said you felt like you were in a dream.
It was like, well, we were watching it, and Bellew came over to me and he said, "It'll be over this round," and it happened. And you know when you just. I sort of squinched my eyes and thought, has that just happened?
And
you remember the noise?
Surreal.
You know, and about 5 or 6 Russians going, "Yes, Alex, yes!" And
it was like a moment, wasn't it, when he dips over that front knee, it almost like stops.
Yeah, it was.
And then like a whip.
And how many times have you seen the replay?
If I shut my eyes, I can see it frame by frame now. Okay, I'm going to leave you to Max from World of Boxing is going to help me translate. Max, it's just one question for Alexander. Alexander, Sasha, thank you for joining us. Now you're here, how excited are you to get going, and how confident are you that it will be repeat on Saturday?
Очень рад тебя здесь видеть. Добро пожаловать, что приехал. Спасибо. Насколько ты уверен, что удастся повторить успех первого боя?
Ну, скажи, я тоже рад всех видеть здесь. Да. Очень приятно находиться в этой стране. Здесь любят бокс. И любят хороший бокс. Так что я, конечно, рад находиться здесь. И рад, что состоится бой. Как он состоится, знаете, я уже забыл про то, что было. Сейчас самое главное, хорошо, я уже подошел к этому бою, войти в него, можно сказать, и провести отличную комбинацию и сделать хороший бой.
Well, first of all, very glad to be here, you know, in this special country, let's say. Regarding the, you know, repeat what have been in the first fight, I'm not looking for that. This is a, you know, story that we forgot. We go into another fight, you know. We'll try to do my best, you know, in this fight, but don't want to predict.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us. Go well. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
People can't see what's going on there. I very nearly started interviewing the wrong person.
It's the craziest place, isn't it? Because there's people walking around. There's loads of Russians walking around with cups of coffee on top of a boat.
Threw me completely there. Yeah, Barry, we can stand in now. We've got a little bit of empty time. Barry, I'll stand you in here, just a little bit further back. What did you make of his demeanour there? He says, I don't want to predict. It's a shame for us. I want to hear what he thinks is going to happen, but what do you reckon?
Well, who do I think's going to win?
No, what do you reckon to what we just saw and his answer there?
Again, it's the whole demeanour of it. It's just like, yeah, everything's no problem. There's no problem. Everything's easy. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy yourself. He's fully confident. But he also, I think Dillian's obviously put him down a couple of times. I don't think they, as Eddie Hearn was saying, they were really heavy knockdowns. But he felt the power of Dillian Whyte, so he's going to be wary of that himself, of course. But I still think that, that Povetkin's a danger. You have to be, you have to be just very structured. You have to be very precise what you're doing. Just don't let him. I keep saying the same thing, but I just adamant that you just don't let him close. And with that, it's a solid jab. And with Harold Knight in your corner, if they've had enough time to work and delay might help that. That's the shot that'll win it for him.
With Povetkin, he did try and land that shot. I think it was in the round before, or certainly in one of the earlier rounds. When you know that you can knock someone out with that shot, will he be thinking, that's the shot I need to concentrate on, or has he been around the block so many times that he knows, look, it's not going to be about one shot?
Again, I spoke about especially Russian fighters being so economical. He'll only start a shot if it's there. So he'll want it and he'll try and set it up. He won't do what maybe I would do and just go for it really early like a lunatic. There's the gap, I'll go for it and take a risk. He'll only go when the opportunity's there. So he'll still want to do the same things, hit you with a jab, move the head fast, and nick his space with the feet to get close. That's what he'll try and do. And it's Dillian's job to stop him from doing that.
Dillian Whyte obviously has added to his training team, gone away and knows that he has to be better. Can Povetkin at 41 still improve? Can he be better, or do we know what we're going to get?
I don't think he can get any better. I don't. I still think that his feet are slower than they once were. I still think his hands are slower than they once were. I still think that. I do. But he's still dangerous because you got that movement of the dipping over the left foot, and he can still punch, of course. So, but I don't think he can improve. But does he need to? If he wants to launch, he can land that shot. I think what he showed is he's dangerous until he's out of there. Until the final bell's gone or you've knocked him out, he's dangerous. And you have to. And Dillian now has to give him that respect. Dillian's wants to be aggressive. He wants to go out there and make a statement, and he thinks he should have got him out there in the round before, and he wouldn't have got knocked out. He might have got knocked out the round before. Who knows? I think if he's more structured with his work, Dillian, and uses a solid jab, he can get a stoppage. But it might take a little bit longer.
He's a bit lazy sometimes when we say it, but I think the reason that people were almost addicted to boxing, particularly heavyweight boxing, is one shot can change it. That was the ultimate equaliser. And Eddie Hearn was just saying there that the fight was gone. Bellew had come over to him and said this is over, and I think most of us felt like the fight was over. It makes it unmissable that it can change like that in a heartbeat.
Well, that's literally that's the seller, isn't it? I just show that video all the time. Not just selling this fight, but selling heavyweight boxing.
Yeah.
This is what can happen. You can have 10 rounds of hugging, and then all of a sudden, you just get one fantastic shot, and the fight's over with, and that's how it works.
One of my good friends in boxing is going to join you here. In fact, you two wanted to meet each other. We were separated on the podcast.
On the podcast,
yeah.
Barry,
it's a long fall.
Alen the Savage Babic, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Gibraltar. How happy are you to be here? And I'm sure you're super excited to watch Dillian Whyte hopefully get revenge.
Well, I'm mind blown again. Every time I came on these matchroom shows, I'm just like a little kid. Just like a little fan girl or something like that. So I'm very, very happy to be here, and I'm gonna send all of my energy to Dillian, and I hope he gets a beautiful victory.
How is injury rehab going? Just explain, you had an operation, was it on your left shoulder or your right? Operation on your right shoulder, and was that an injury that you picked up in training or in the fight itself, and how's it sort of healing up?
Yeah, it was actually in the first round of the little fight, and I can feel it snap because I had a pretty busy schedule. I did 6 fights in 1 year. It was all one after another. It's too much stress for the body. I could handle it. I could handle much more, but my body just said, F you, and just went into a little hibernating mode, And it snapped in the first round actually, and I felt it. It stings. So I just keep pushing through it, for my fans, for my army of savages. I can never, quit and stuff like that. So after the fight, it was a severe pain. And then I went 2 months just training. I didn't want to go to the doctor. I don't know why. You know, it wasn't smart. So I just delayed two months of surgery. But it's good now. It's good.
When will you be back?
Well, I believe I'm going to be back in May. You know, everybody keep asking that, and thank you all for that. And you just giving me strength. You know, without you, I wouldn't be back in 1 year. It was a pretty big surgery. You know, because right after I tear out those ligaments, and I keep on doing, I don't know, deadlifts and stuff, and it just keeps breaking everything about it. So it was a pretty big surgery, but it's good now.
Can I just ask you about the fight? Povetkin Whyte won. Where were you? Were you watching at home? Of course, no, you boxed on the undercard. You were watching in the dressing room. Stupid me. Did you come out and watch the fight ringside, or were you?
Yeah, of course.
Were you allowed ringside, or were you taken back to the hotel?
Well, I wasn't allowed, but I was there.
Yeah, this is why I'm getting confused, because I know you weren't there. Well, you shouldn't have been there, but you were.
Yeah. I shouldn't be there, but of course I was there with my man. I was watching for the woods. You know, we had some. The corner has a lot of forest, you know.
Yeah.
So I was behind the tree. No, I'm kidding. I was a little bit back, but I was there, almost ringside, and I was it's just like I took a shot, you know, because I connect with Dillian and I connect with all my friends, especially Dillian, who is my mentor, who has shown me the world, you know. So it was a pretty big punch for me also, you know? But I know he's gonna go. I knew it. I said there, Dillian looked better than Povetkin after that fight. So that gave me the confidence he's gonna go back really soon. And he was back training in like 1 week.
Yeah.
So
you haven't had the chance to be in camp with him this time round. Obviously, you've done hundreds of rounds of sparring with him. He still says you're the most vicious, spiteful sparring partner that he uses. What does he have to do differently in this one?
Well, like I told him the last time, I think still the same. He gotta go to being his old self, you know, to bring back the young Dillian. You know, he was a killer. I liked watching the young Dillian so much. But last few fights, the Rivas fight, the Povetkin fight, he kind of took it down a notch, you know. I don't like that. He tried to box too much, and he's really a puncher. He's a big puncher, you know. And I said, don't box with Olympic champion. You don't do that. You know, I'm not gonna box with Olympic champion never. I'm gonna destroy them. So that is Dillian's way. You know, he's the best at it. And when he tries to box, use the jabs and everything, it's not him fully, you know. So I really hope he's gonna go back to his old ways. That's why he has so many fans. That's what he did all of this, you know. So.
And if he does do that, do you think that he wins this fight by stoppage this time?
Of course. There is no doubt in my mind. You know, even if he doesn't, I'm still gonna think he's a stronger, better. I can't say better boxer, but a better fighter. You know? He's just a fighter to the core. You know, you can see Dillian the way he walks. He walks like a boxer. He runs like a boxer. Everything he does is pure boxing. You know, and I just want him to use that. You know, not to pretend to be somebody else. I want him to use the savagery. You know, he's savage. He's a true savage.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for coming on and joining us. Great to see you again, Barry. You. Barry, you survived.
He's lucky he's gone.
Yeah, I somehow forgot that he knocked out Shaundell Winters on the undercard. Assumed that he was back at home.
He's just a taller version than me, isn't he? Really?
I thought I've seen double. I mean, we've all been awake a long time.
Same accent.
Both big punches, you know.
Okay.
That's enough. Stop it now. That's interesting what he said though. Like, play to your strengths. Your strength is to be super aggressive, and you don't necessarily agree.
I don't. You can't reinvent the wheel, so you got to work with it in the constraints of what you have. Of course, I understand that, but not just going, I'm a fighter. That's what I do. That's naive at the highest level. That's just really naive, because you're going to walk. Someone like Povetkin, you just walk into a shot, and it'll be an early night for him. So I think I'm not saying you can't be aggressive and try and get Povetkin out there early. Possibly, I would be a bit more cautious than that, but I can still understand that that. You use what you got, but you got to engage your brain. Yeah. And I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but it's so important. Keep on into the jab, Dillian, please.
I just wonder if he will. When you go into, it's not just a rematch; it's an immediate rematch, and it's in a rematch with a fight that you were winning, and eventually you got knocked out in. I just wonder what his mindset will be when the first bell rings. If he can control that, if he can realise, again, I go back to what Alen Babic was saying there and what you were saying. He may well be winning it on the jab, but there's always that in his mind that Povetkin is, until he's out. He's dangerous.
Of course, yeah, of course it is. But the whole thing about the jab is you're making Povetkin, try and attack from too far out. That's what you want to try and do. That's the idea of it all. Not.
I'm going to ask you to step aside because the body snatcher is in the building, and probably ask him about the haircut. A lot of people say online, like, he means business when he takes all the hair off. It's very haggler, isn't it?
I know. I was going to say, the haggler there.
Looking good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the open workout continues, and right now, making his way to the ring, the former WBC
This is the full squad. This is everybody. Harold Knight with the Kronk bag. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. Body snatcher, Whyte!
Xavier Miller, who I think will probably lead the corner. I think it will be Miller leading the corner with Harold Knight assisting. I'll try and clarify that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't say there was anything wrong with that. I think Miller knows him better than anyone. But I would also say, what's the point in getting Harold Knight in if you're not going to use him to his full capabilities?
Yeah, very true.
I would have thought, wouldn't they? They'll decide what they decide, of course. Unless he was in especially for certain things, maybe working, using that solid jab.
They describe themselves as a team. When we interviewed Harold on the podcast, very clear to say, we're a team, Xavier Miller and myself. So I just wonder who will be on paper the lead cornerman. I'll see if we can find that out. That is the Gibraltar rugby kit that Dillian Whyte is wearing. I know he's been very, very well received here. He's had a lot of commitments meeting local politicians, dignitaries, supporters. That's a nice touch there to wear the Gibraltar rugby kit. Imagine him playing rugby, by the way.
He wouldn't be so big though, would he? Let's be honest.
No, maybe.
but I think the aggressiveness that he has, so that approach, I think, and to want to get into a tear that would do well for him.
I quite like the fact. I like it when he's unhappy on fight week, because it sort of shows when he's grumpy, because it shows maybe last time he was in, he was comfortable, he was the star, it was a fight he was expected to win. He's just complaining about the music, about the playlist. He said this music is rubbish, this isn't the one.
Obviously that's just Gibraltar.
But I also like him relaxed. I think just the way he is. He's very much, well, this is what it is. This is the way I do it. He wants to have his own way, and also he's up for a fight, isn't he? I think he's just generally one of these fellas who just wants to have a fight.
And I think
whatever he gets paid for this is just a huge bonus.
But I think whatever discipline he chose to fight in, I think he did Muay Thai and certainly the kickboxing stuff I've seen. Just so effective. Whatever discipline he chose, he would have been effective. Just a born fighter. We're lucky that he's chosen boxing. This is big, isn't it? Now he's here. Now we've got all the surroundings here. That team, pretty much, because of the coronavirus and pandemic lockdown, they've been in camp since the last fight. They've all had Christmas away from their families. Been all holed up in Portugal as one big team. It's a big deal for these guys. It feels big now we're here, I have to say.
It is. But I think for Dillian especially, I think that the postponements and it's taking longer to make with a new guy in your corner can only be helped. If they had a plan what they're looking for, they got him in to do a certain thing. The longer he's got to implement that discipline, whatever it was, would obviously it's better for you. So and also he's a younger man as well. Let's not forget that. Every week that goes by, he's not going to be a help for Povetkin, of course. So yeah, I think it should help Dillian, and also it gives him time for mentally, and emotionally get his head round what happened in the last fight and how he's going to approach this one as well. And we're talking generic here, because we don't know what's inside Dillian's head, because he looks like the whole persona is he doesn't really care. I got knocked out. Well, I said I'll fight you tomorrow if you want. He seems like that sort of kid.
Xavier Miller was wearing a gum shield. Is that a gum shield? He's wearing very sensible. I just saw that then. I was just making sure he wasn't chewing a sweet or something. So Xavier Miller is wearing a gum shield for the pad session. Very sensible. You wouldn't want to call a jab, and he thinks you say right hand on top of the boat.
I've seen it. No, with Dillian, I've seen it
numerous times. Andy Ruiz, there's a clip of Andy Ruiz hitting his old pad man in the middle of a pad session. Unbelievable. So yeah, I don't blame Xavier Miller.
My father got his tooth knocked to his lip.
On a pad session?
On a pad session with a friend of mine, yeah.
When you say a friend of mine, was it you?
It wasn't me, no. It was me. He would have been alright, wouldn't he?
You always put yourself down.
Barely approved, but yeah, so it can be, yeah. But I don't know why for today, though. I don't think they're going to be doing much today.
No, but it was always interesting to see how seriously people take these because, you know, if it were me, I was orthodox, I'd come out and box southpaw and miss the pads and make myself look as rubbish as possible because you know everybody's watching for that precise reason. But he's gonna, I think he is going to do a bit here. I think he is going to show us one or two things. Maybe not. You know, I think I'm getting carried away. But I think
why would he? You know, I understand he's here to people to see him and stuff, but you don't be going to doing anything silly now, do you? Making any silly mistakes, getting hurt, an injury or something, you know.
Talk about if it's a small word with a very big meaning, but when is the right time for him to put his foot down? Because what he said last time was he went too early, and I heard Mark Tibbs, former trainer, saying I wouldn't have let him make that mistake until Povetkin was absolutely done, and he wasn't quite done. I just wonder this time, will he know internally when the right time is? Can you ever really know when the right time is to put the foot down?
But the thing is, he didn't get knocked out straight after the knockdown, did he? There was a whole minute's rest there, and he went again. So, if you've hurt the guy, you've got to go for it. I understand that, but it's how you go for it. He doesn't need to get too close, and that's the thing. He doesn't need to get too close to him. No, if you get close, Povetkin. I'm just saying the same thing, repeating myself. It's ridiculous, but it's true. If you get close, Povetkin with a shorter reach by a fair distance can hit you with that left uppercut, that left hook, or the overhand right. If you can keep it long, and you can still hurt him. He can knock him out with a long right hand.
Will he be content to win this fight on points? I mean, winning is all that matters. It's very easy for me to say that, but I wonder if your ego is hurt, if your reputation's hurt. Coming back, does he want to equal this?
I don't know if he's a good enough boxer to beat him on points, to be honest. Or out-and-out boxer, Dillian. No, he can box a bit, but I mean, he's not known for his boxing skills. He's known for his aggressiveness and his power. But so even though he's winning the other fight, but as the rounds went on, if you start getting tired and settling down, the natural boxing ability of Povetkin probably would have shone through if he was going to go the distance, possibly. So I think he's always going to look for the stoppage. He's always going to want to hurt him, but if he keeps it from distance and does it that way, and he can get close, but if you're going to get close, throw one or two shots. Don't get too greedy. But you've got to move. You've got to take a different angle out before you re-engage. I think it's that much. I think you got to really use his brain Saturday night, Dillian.
One thing we haven't touched on at all is the route to the top for the winner. Eddie Hearn's got a bit of a tough job keeping all of his heavyweights happy. You would expect, with all the news that's slowly bleeding through, that AJ and Fury are going to be tied up for 2 fights now. So if you're Dillian Whyte and you win this, what are you going to do next? And the same question for Povetkin, but what are you going to do next? He wants to win a world title. What's the quickest route to that?
I was going to say unfortunately, but you can literally see that if Chisora beats Parker, they have a third fight, don't they? Or if Parker beats Chisora, and if he beats Chisora in impressive fashion, then he fights Parker. But there's no world title on the line.
And then what do you do with the winner of Usyk and Joyce? Do they fight?
But they won't fight each other because they're going to want a world title.
It's difficult, isn't it? Yeah. If all the belts are tied up,
the thing is, though, they won't be tied. The belts won't be tied up for 2 fights, will they? They'll be tied up for the first fight, and then the second fight, the belts will be fragmented. They'd have to. They can't. They can't hold. I don't know. You can hold all those organisations ransom, for a year or two. I can't see how it can be possible. So. You think a world title shot should be looming for one of them, but yeah, until Joshua and Fury get it on, then everyone's having to pause on that. But either way, there's loads of money to be earned for them. There's still big fights around that division for them. But for Dillian, though, it's hard to see who he'd want apart from Joshua or Fury.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Who else is he going to want to fight? No, really.
No,
Deontay Wilder, I forgot all about him. Remember him? Deontay Wilder. Yeah. No, there's a fight. And that's a fantastic fight for him. That's a fight that he can go across the pond for. Probably it would be an ambition for most boxers, isn't it, to want to box?
Well, the fan in me would love to see that. Would absolutely love to see that.
And that's a dangerous fight because the way Dillian fights, he'll give Deontay Wilder lots of opportunities to land with that huge right hand of his. So. But also, Dillian get inside that long reach of Deontay Wilder, he tears him apart. That's for sure. So it's a good fight. But who cares about that? I think, if anything, you can't blame that on the first fight. But Povetkin was overlooked. by a soul.
By a soul, yeah. I think we're all
the whole
guilty of it.
story, the whole narrative of the thing was how 100 odd days or whatever he was, for 300 odd days, whatever he was for. Was it 300 and something odd days? He was the number one challenger for the WBC title.
Yeah, longer, I think.
And couldn't get his opportunity. So that was a narrative, and this was a really risky fight for him, but a fight that he'll come through, and then they'll force Wilder, Fury, and Joshua to fight him.
Really interesting. Barry, I'll ask you the question in case Dillian doesn't come over straight away, but I might have to cut you off. Really interesting what Eddie said. Look, he wanted to fight in front of fans. He feels like he needs the fans. I still think we've got so accustomed to no fans. We take it as a given what it actually means. Even that 1,000 against the 1,000 that were in there for AJ Pulev, it just made such a difference. I couldn't put into words the difference it made.
Well, it can give you that extra little spur on, can it, when you're getting tired, or it can keep your feet grounded. You get hit with a big shot, and goes ooh. With that deadly silence, it can feel like a sparring session. You're maybe not switched on. So yeah, of course, it's important.
I think Dillian is going to go straight to our colleagues on Sky Sports News. That's fine. It's luckily I've got Barry to help me.
Yeah, thanks.
I would like to get to Harold. I'd like to get to Harold as well, but we can stay on. This is the last fighter to work out. So what are we at? 7:15. I think Dillian's got commitments down with the football tonight as well. Going down to Gibraltar, Norway. So I don't think he's going to hang around too much, but.
Harold Shadow Knight also in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's just have a quick chat on Harold Knight. Sorry, we're filling very briefly here. Harold, Harold and Xavier. In fact, let's bring the two trainers in together.
Good.
Guys, we're live on our stream here on Sky Sports News. Just one quick word from the two of you. He seems in good spirits. Just how confident are you as a team that this is going to be revenge on Saturday?
Not only revenge, but redemption. We worked hard. We was in camp for over 20 weeks. One thing with Dillian, he's one of the hardest working fighters that I've worked with. So we're definitely prepared.
Xavier, what about this gum shield?
Hey,
very sensible.
Listen, when you're training the heavyweight, you have to be careful. I like my teeth, but he's been honestly. This camp's been absolutely amazing. Dillian always trains really hard, and expect an explosive performance.
What's his mindset? He seems in a good place, but he also seems that bit narky as well. That you kind of want, a bit of grump as well.
But you guys have been around Dillian long enough. You know what it's like. Yeah. Fight week. Listen. It's been a long camp. We just want to get in there and do the business.
What about you guys? You've been away from home a hell of a long time. I don't think people realise the sacrifices that you've had to make as well. A hold up in Portugal. Xavier, you I think a little bit longer than Harold. Yes. You've been there since October, November. That is a huge sacrifice for you guys as well. It'll mean a lot to both of you if he gets the job done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're soldiers. I mean, once again, we're in war. We're prepared for war, and we're going to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Dillian, great to see you. What's your mindset at the moment? You must be absolutely buzzing with this backdrop, but also now fight week's here. It's been a long time coming for you.
I'm good, man. I'm chilled. I'm relaxed. I'm one of those kind of guys where it takes a lot to knock me out my rhythm, man. I'm easy, so I'm saying I'm easy. Friday I'm all business. Saturday I'm all business. But I'm good. I'm relaxed. I'm chilled. I'm not overthinking stuff and thinking, I need to do this, I need to do that. I trust the training, the process, and I know who I am as a fighter, and I know who I am as a person. Things I've come back from in life and done, this is nothing. This is just, it's a fight. You win, you lose. So what? The main thing is I try and fight the best people. I try and be the best I can, and I don't hide from nobody. No one can say, you avoided him, so don't really care, to be honest.
They say timing is everything. You've been in, I was just saying to the guys there, Xavier and Howard and Harold, that you've been in camp a hell of a long time. Is timing everything? You feel that this is the right time now, Saturday? You've had enough, but you haven't had too much.
I was ready to go in November. I was already ready. So we had to break the camp down, rest, relax some days, bring it back up again. But it's good. My team's good. I got a good team of people, very experienced people, very smart people, and I've been there on a long time. I've learned a lot. I'm still learning. I learn a lot. So I know when to say, what, I ain't going gym today. I'm relaxing in my house. And it is what it is. I don't care who thinks whatever. What I say, I don't really care about what people say or think, man. I just do what feels right to me.
Eddie Hearn said the discussions that you had in the build-up to the fight, the fans mean so much to you. The fact, one of the main reasons we're here is because you get to fight in front of a crowd. Just how much of a difference will that make?
It'll be like, it is for me. I'm just trying to play my part and help getting us back to normality, try and get some fans back to sports, try and show people, set an example that we can get back to normal if we take the right safety procedures and everybody do what they need to do and everybody is safe, you know what I mean? And Gibraltar is leading the charge. They're showing us, England and the rest of the world, that we can return to normality. We just have to take the proper precautions, you know. Obviously, they've inoculated over 90-something% of the population, so why can't we do the same in England and get sports back? And because a lot of boxers, boxing is their job, and they ain't boxed for like over a year. A lot of these guys are giving up their career, losing their money. A lot of people is going a bit crazy and stuff, so we just need to get back, put the small shows on, because the small shows is the grassroots for 90% of the boxers in England and in the world. You know, it's only a 10% that gets on the big shows, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Just finally, before we go, loads of comments online on our online streams, and it's a bit of a light-hearted question, but a lot of people saying you mean business when you take all the hair off, when you go full Marvin Hagler, that you know that you mean business.
I've been in camp for so long, looking like I ain't got no family, so I just thought, you know what? All the hard work's done. Let me just fresh up and just come in Saturday just feel a bit. A haircut make you feel a bit fresh. You give that little bounce, you know what I mean? And you know me, trim my head bald sometimes depending on my mood, you know what I mean? I'm just getting ready for later on when I go bald, just checking out the look from early, you know what I mean? See if it suits me. Yeah, you know.
Just finally, look. Yes, there's going to be a crowd there, but there are a hell of a lot of fans that will have wanted to come that can't. You've got a message for everyone back home.
Thank you guys for the support. I love you guys. Keep supporting, and we're going to get the victory Saturday, and then hopefully put on another show, possibly here, or possibly in England or in America. A big show, you know, a big show, and get some big fans. Hopefully fighting for the world title. But let's see. One fight at a time. Povetkin's dangerous, and I'm fully focused. I'm looking forward to get the job done and knock him out Saturday.
Best of luck. Go well. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers,
Barry, good. Just stand you anyway. We might as well go full circle. Let's go all the way around. Saying all the right things, in a very good mood, I think, but ticking as well. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, you can just see something, can't you? A little glint there that he's, the next day or two, I think it'll change dramatically. Yeah. But I think he's quite philosophical about it all. About his whole approach to boxing is a bit like, what are we here to do? We're here to fight. We'll have a fight. You know, and I think when he does get beat, even the Joshua loss, you know, some things you weren't happy about. He just got, you know, I went in there trying to knock him out, and it didn't work. But you know, if I get him again, I'll beat him again. He was all like that, but he was very much. That's how it is.
Can I ask you just to sum up? Obviously, it's been a long stream. If you stayed with us, thank you very much. Everything that you've seen, but particularly now you've had eyes on them on the final fight week, both Povetkin and Whyte. Changed any of your opinions? Anything of note that stood out to you?
No, nothing. I wouldn't change my opinion. They both look confident, and right, for both different reasons, but rightly so. But I also think that, you know, for me, it's what Dillian Whyte has to do or has to not do. That will be the difference in this fight. And the Povetkin's still dangerous, but I can't see him getting any better than what he is. To be honest, I think Dillian could improve, and if they've done the work in the gym. And the things, I'm not going to keep saying the same thing again, but if you've been watching from the beginning, you were fed up of it. But if he does that, I think if he does that a little bit, I think it'll be an easier night for him.
Barry, thank you so much for being part of this media stream. That concludes tonight's media workouts. Rumble on the Rock. Make sure you join us tomorrow. Wherever you consume this stream today, come back tomorrow, send in your questions, we'll try and get through them. 2 o'clock is the press conference UK time. Come and join us then. The Rumble on the Rock. We are here in Gibraltar.